In this video, I'm gonna talk about Destiny 2. Let me get this out of the way from the get-go. This is literally Phantasy Star Online. Pick that up, put it in the blender, mix well, bake for 3 years, sprinkle with chopped scallions like any hipster chef would, and there you go. You have yourself a shiny Destiny 2 right there. You are in the future, you have mythical lore, you are going to happily repeat the same bullshit day after day, and you are the hero of the story, just like everybody else. This has got to be the first game I have ever played that looks like a piece of concept art. Look at anything made by a high-profile landscape artist. Behold the brushy quick paint style and the absolute freeform of fantasy. Sky is the limit. Nothing is out of the question. And somebody somewhere said, take this, make 0 modifications, and make a video game out of it. Platforms float in midair for literally no reason. Every vista is larger than life. Rivers are made of pure electricity. I cannot tell where the environment stops and the skybox begins. I could spend days stargazing on a terraformed version of each of Jupiter's moons if it was not for the hordes of bad guys trying to shoot me in the face. In order to solve this problem, you have access to 3 character classes that are all firmly into the DPS category. In most cases, you have access to a specific class ability, a choice of melee abilities, a choice of grenades, and a press this to win button. This is in addition to the standard weapons you can carry along with you, and everyone can use every weapon without limitation. These weapons consist of every gun type under the sun, plus a few bows and swords for the more traditionally minded, and little sidearm pistols to corral fanbase hate into a predictable spot. Most of the weapons are both semi-handmade and semi-random, in the sense that they start with an archetypal model, and then come with a selection of perks chosen from a pool that is unique to the gun model. The perks may be more or less useful depending on your intended use and your personal playstyle. Think about it like a car model with its trim level and options. There is a gun for everyone out there, and in practice it starts with what works and you move up to what works more. Finding your groove will involve a lot of experimentation, and many questlines involve you having to do kills with a particular weapon type. Every gun model feels different, sounds different, and behaves in particular ways. Interestingly, because the game has been out for a few years and the power creep has been fully embraced, literally everything you find is classed as legendary rarity. In truth, the basic gameplay is forgiving enough that there is no wrong tool for the job, and you can literally create a new account from scratch and access all of the free roam and the regular missions with your starting equipment. At the same time, you can and you will get killed from getting too cocky, but death is a slap on the wrist, and there is a particular fun to be had into yelling "hold my beer" before taking on an entire army at once, just because you know in advance that your unlikely victory will look amazing, and your inevitable demise will look very silly. The game has 40,1238.6 modes. I will try to describe as many of them as I can remember. In free roam, you can shoot whatever comes across your sight and pick up an infinity of small shopping lists of things to do while you are in the neighborhood. You get access to public events, which are short and intense objective-based battles that anybody can participate into, and you can undertake simple and short missions that you can complete within 5 to 10 minutes. Free roam is peppered all over the place with treasure chests and collectible resources that you can hand over to an NPC in exchange for some extra loot. The world is a giant scavenger hunt full of secret little items and places, and it is after you pick up a piece of useless armor from a puzzle-locked chest that you learn it is much more about the journey than the destination. In Vanguard, you go into classic-style objective-based missions that have you running alongside a couple other players to make it to the end of the level and have yourself a good old boss fight. Your teammates are a bonus and not a necessity unless you are going for the expert mode stuff. Matchmaking is available on the easier modes, so you will always have a companion or two to fool around with. In most cases, a Vanguard strike lasts between 10 to 15 minutes, with the higher difficulty variants reaching above 20 minutes due to all the turtling that is involved. In Crucible, you get to fight other human players in a variety of modes such as free-for-all, control points, team elimination, superpowered mayhem, and a few other variants that rotate in and out every so often, plus some special events that bring their own sets of rewards. In most of the basic Crucible matches, the playing field is leveled out so that newbies and veterans are on somewhat equal footing, and what matters most is the ability to land good shots with the Flavor of the Month gun before it gets nerfed. If you do not own a Flavor of the Month gun, you can still be a perfectly competitive player if you equip yourself smartly, which boils down to equipping yourself in the polar opposite manner as how you would in free roam, and making concessions against the shopping list you picked up from the PvP vendor. The Crucible is not a very serious environment, and it is not where we will see the next esports league, so I strongly recommend chugging a beer before your first battle. In Gambit, two teams race to kill as many common monsters as possible and win a boss fight before the other team does. Every now and then, one team member can invade the other team in order to kill them and impede their progress. Your agency is limited, your reliance on teammates is much higher than usual, and all the importance is placed on the final outcome instead of the progress. Therefore, Gambit represents everything I was trying to run away from in Overwatch.
Bad Moira. 40%, dude, go suck a dick. We won!
In raids, you are confronted with top-level objectives that demand precise teamwork and coordination, and play out much like an adult version of the schoolyard game shows you used to watch in the 90s on YTV. For this reason, matchmaking is not available, and it is up to you to assemble a team of trusted companions that will be able to endure you for the next hour or so. You will face difficult opponents, puzzle bosses, and specific conditions that must be satisfied under a time pressure, or else something one-shots the entire team. Before undertaking a raid, I highly recommend you play Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. In dungeons, you basically do a shorter and easier style of raid, where things barely go on for any longer than 1 hour if you take your sweet time. You also have the option of doing a dungeon solo if you feel brave and stupid enough, something that is physically impossible in raids. Another distant cousin of the raid mode is the Menagerie, in which a matchmade team performs challenges that involve more than just shooting bad guys. As of right now, you can visit locations that include post-apocalyptic Earth, Ocean World, Frozen Desert, Super Mario Land, Way Too Close to the Sun, Planet Vomit Color Scheme, Space Gangsta Chrysler 300, Floating Bay of Pirates, GoldenEye 64, and the Moon. Most of the environments blend nature with technology, and it is rare to see only one without the other. This game has a story which can be safely boiled down to shoot everything that has a health bar above it. There is a significant amount of lore to be discovered, and the most crucial bits of exposition are delivered by spoken dialogue, but you also get some optional reading in the form of mini-books that you can consult in your inventory. Unfortunately, the pages of the mini-books are torn up and scattered all over the game world, so in practice, your library will consist of what amounts to a teenager's entire hard drive of unfinished fanfiction. That said, playing the story missions cannot hurt, and you can obtain these by visiting Amanda Holiday in the tower at your earliest convenience, not because I instantly fell head over heels for her, but rather to take a deep dive into what has been going on so far. It will explain the state of the world you are in, what the characters on your radio feed are up to, and in exactly which manner Cade 6 is a hilarious dumbass. The surface of the game is a first-person shooter, and the underlying mechanics borrow from role-playing games. Each week, you can perform tasks that award you so-called powerful items, which serve to increase the big number next to your character up until a set point. This number serves as a guide to let you know if you are ready for some of the more difficult encounters, or if you will get one-shot by an enemy that thinks of you for a fleeting moment. Conversely, if you are far above the level demanded by an encounter, the game will temporarily bring your power down a notch, so that your adventure has a modicum of challenge to it. Every 3 months, the season comes to an end, the storyline is moved forward a little, the power cap is raised, and you get back to the grind all over again to rise accordingly. The new season contains a few extra items and activities so that the player base can have something new to complain about, and if you like the season, you can obtain more season per season by throwing a few dollar bills at the game. This will get you access to special activities and a few unique items that is out of reach from the proletariat. On the shorter term, there is a weekly reset in which the bigger to-do lists are refreshed with new ones, a few minor switches are flipped around, and some specific events may begin or come to an end. The challenge is that there are far many more to-do lists than your capacity for holding them, because somehow you can only take on a limited number of quest lines, and you need to either complete or abandon them to make space for more. Even if you did not have that limitation, fact remains that you cannot possibly do everything in a single day, and it is understood that you will focus your effort on a few aspects of the game according to your personal fancy, just like you choose what you eat for dinner with the stomach you got. In most cases, the quest lines are an excuse to go somewhere and check out the scenery, or challenge yourself to getting kills with something that is outside your zone of comfort. You do not really want to look too deeply into it, or else you fall into the crowd of min-maxers who regard anything below perfection to be worthless trash, and they apply this philosophy to other human beings as well. A normal player will grab a few weapons and go on happy hunting. A min-maxer will punch himself in the dick for 12 hours straight, and then complain he did not get the roll he wanted for the gun he wanted. I will concede that finding an epic roll is a thrilling experience, and having an optimal loadout turns a 10-minute boss fight into a 2-minute boss fight. But there is a point at which you are just plain ass-fucking the houseflies, and everyone is bracing themselves for yet another one of your rants about how whoever came up with this sheer fisting of an encounter can go fuck themselves, yada yada. Similarly, I will concede that the system as it is presented is very much reliant on itself clicking emotionally with the player. Some people will instantly see nothing of value into it. Others will keep asking for more, and the latter cohort can easily spend upwards of 300 hours doing all sorts of quest lines before they even spend a single penny on the DLC content. At the end of the day, we are killing time, and we are playing with our toys. In this particular case, you get to try the toy before you put money into the accessories, and the only upfront cost is a bit of your time and busting your monthly bandwidth limit with the 90 GB download of the game's content. Recognize that nothing lasts forever and that we stop playing games while they are still good, or we keep playing them until we see them go in a direction we dislike. Death is from old age or from cancer. There is no official mark of completion, and there is no destination to look forward to. Everything is about the journey, the friends you make along the way, the evenings that go on until literally tomorrow, and for the life of me I cannot recall the moment when we beat the boss, but I could talk for hours about all the crazy stupid shit we did to get there.
I don't hear a lot of gunfire. What are you negotiating up there? With words?
In short, this game is literally Phantasy Star Online. Come on, have you even been fucking listening?